Looking for a spring travel destination? Try the Treefort Music Fest coming to downtown Boise, Idaho, March 26th through the 30th. You can catch the full lineup of over 400 artists at treefortmusicfest.com/lineup. 5-day GA passes start at $366, but the prices are going up March 1, so grab them while you can. Other ticket types include front-of-the-line access, single-day full fest, main stage, single-day, and 4-day. Not to mention hotel packages and fort badges. Find your tickets now at treefortmusicfest.com/tickets. The search for the Clark County School District's new head honcho, the superintendent, is coming to a close. Just 3 candidates remain in the running, so who are they and who should get the job? Today on CityCast Las Vegas, I talk with education advocate Patricia Haddad Bennett about the final 3 and what all this means for our schools and our kids. It's Monday, March 3rd. I'm David Figler, and here's what Las Vegas is talking about. Patricia, whoever the new superintendent is, what are they inheriting?
They are inheriting quite a hairball. They're inheriting...
hairball. That's usually what gets coughed out, but this is what they're going into. Great.
They are inheriting leadership of 40,000 employees, the largest employer in the state, 300,000-ish students, and all of their needs. Right. And a highly political and highly charged situation and district at this moment in time. Just like in the state, obviously everyone has feelings about the Clark County School District. And also federally, there's a lot of questions about what's happening with education and education funding. And so they are also inheriting a lot of unknown.
Okay. Well, first I want to get into the 3 people that remain. Walk us through each of them.
Yeah. So will you go on a journey with me? David, have you ever seen The Bachelorette?
I know the concept. I'm going to say I've probably seen viral clips, but okay, I think I know where you're going here, but go for it.
Okay. Well, sorry, just to connect with you on that, and for if people are like diehard Bachelor and Bachelorette fans, I am also not, but I did watch my first season of The Golden Bachelorette this past
The Golden
year.
Bachelor? Or The Golden Bachelorette?
The Golden Bachelorette.
Okay.
Because there was a Nevada connection. Guy Gansert, Heidi Gansert, former Senate Republican leader's ex-husband, was one of the contestants on The Golden Bachelor. And they're golden because they're older folks, right?
Yes.
And so
they're classic.
So I was highly emotionally invested in that because of the Nevada connection, watching breathlessly each day each episode as people were not given a rose, right? Or like who moved on.
So they vie for the affections and potential courtship and marriage of the individual in the middle. So here the prize... I'm just trying to follow your metaphor. Yeah. Here, the prize is the school district, and all the contestants are vying to be that superintendent.
Correct. And so, the other night, and we'll get into the contestants in a second, but the other night when they were voting to figure out who their 3 were that they were going to bring on, I was watching just as breathlessly, just as on the edge of my seat. And I know I love a public meeting, David. I know you love a public meeting.
We're nerds. We watch the videos. We actually show up sometimes live to just watch the public process unfold.
Exactly. And that level of excitement, I just couldn't help but think about The Bachelorette also and how I had that same level of excitement. So who are our contestants on the CCSD Bachelorette? Who gets a rose or maybe an apple? Who knows?
Hey, Patricia, tell us our 3 contestants.
Yeah. So coming at you live. So 3 contestants that are going through this process at this point. There is Jesse Welsh, Ben Scholdener, and Joan Ebert. And they all had the opportunity to interview in front of the Board of Trustees to do initial sort of presentations and Q&A in front of the Board of Trustees recently. And those were the 3 that moved forward. There was one additional, his name's John Anzalone, that was taken out of the running up to this point. But
why was he kicked off the island?
So Actually, very interesting. There was
I'm mixing
no
game shows here. I'm mixing reality shows here.
Notice how I didn't even notice.
Yeah.
So there was no deliberation actually by the Board of Trustees. They listened to 2 days worth of, so they had two on one night, two on the next, and then of presentations and then Q&A. There was no crosstalk among the trustees, and they jumped right into voting who they wanted to move forward and who they didn't. And so John Anzalone did not get a majority of votes to be able to move forward into the finalists. There was no explanation given. Now, the interesting thing about that and about it going straight to a vote is that the appointed trustees, the ones that are appointed by the municipalities, City of Henderson, City of Las Vegas, Clark County, they don't have a vote on the board. And so they actually did not provide any public input on who the candidates would be that move forward. And I mean, I think it was kind of scandalous.
Okay. Well, we spent enough time on the guy who didn't make the cut. Yeah. Let's talk about the three who did. So who's up first?
So up first, we've got our returning contestant to the CCSD, Superintendent, Bachelorette, Golden Apple on or off the island.
So this is a contestant from a prior season who we invited back.
Indeed. And his name is Jesse Welsh. Now, he was not on the initial slate that the consultants, like the search firm consultants, brought forward, but is one that the trustees, particularly out of all of the applicants, plucked out and said, we want him to be a part of the interviews as well.
Well, that is a save. That is something that the producers of a reality show would absolutely do for better ratings. Okay, so why was Jesse Welsh given a lifeline here? And what's this person all about?
So I think he was given a lifeline because he is a known entity to CCSD. He was an administrator in CCSD for a long time. He applied to be the superintendent in 2018. That was the same application cycle that Dr. Jara was hired in. Obviously wasn't selected. Mm-hmm. He went off to be the superintendent of a small district in Arizona for just a little while, and then came back and most recently has been and is serving as the CEO of Nevada State High School, which is a charter school that serves juniors and seniors in high school to do like dual enrollment. So essentially the premise is you're taking high school classes at the same time you're taking college classes. You can graduate from high school with an associate's degree if you go like full bore on it.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And so now, red flag, he did not mention his role as the CEO of Nevada State High School at all during his interview. But he did talk a lot about his accomplishments when he was internal at CCSD. And he clearly still has a lot of relationships as well. So I think those things helped him sort of rise a little bit. And some of those relationships helped him rise to get plucked out of the larger list of applicants.
All right. And so what are some of the like traits, I guess, or something unique about Jesse Welsh other than having some contact with CCSD in the past?
So he really touted himself as a data nerd, and had a lot to say about the sort of full breadth of the organization. So I think some things that were interesting was he did touch on academic achievement of students, which not all of the three candidates that we're about to talk about right now did. Mm-hmm. He also talked a lot about facilities and the need for upgrading facilities. Like there are beautiful buildings, but like the AC doesn't work in a lot of them, right? And so there are some pieces that are a little wonkier, like the need to continue bond funding to support the hundreds of facilities that CCSD has so that they're habitable for kids. Like those are some of the brass tacks, things that he touched on that I think set him apart. He also came across very confident, very relaxed, and like an insider.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he's been on the show before. So he's our past season returnee. You're calling him the data nerd. Who's the next candidate up?
So the next one up was Ben Schuldiner, and he is really the wild card, fresh face, sort of new on the scene contestant here. And he is actually also the only, so we were talking about the search firm. They very intentionally and based on some public pressure, did a national search for this next superintendent. Ben Schuldiner is the only actual national candidate that's in the finalist slate at this point. So,
and by that, you mean someone who really has zero ties at all to Nevada or the Clark County School District.
Yeah, in that way. He had mentioned in his presentation that he has been to CCSD schools to visit, right? Like, oh, here are some, really excellent schools like Del Sol, I think is one that he mentioned, performing arts schools that he had been to, but does not have those kinds of, exactly.
Yeah, that's like, and I also want to mention that I've been at the top of the stratosphere. Right. And I really enjoyed the view. It's like, okay, sir. But that said, I mean, obviously he brings something to the table if the search firm advanced him and, this was part, like you said, of a national effort. So tell me more about what Ben Schuldiner, am I saying his name right?
Yeah. So that was a point of... you, all of the trustees were having trouble with it as well. And as someone with a last name that folks often have trouble pronouncing, I felt
really
empathy for him.
I only had to do, I know you very well, and I only had to say your name 17 times in the introduction. So I get that. All right.
So he had a very clear and compelling presentation and question and answer, in my opinion. He deep dived into the budget, and he pulled up slides from recent budget presentations and said, here are some holes in information that you all need in order to make better informed decisions.
Oh, wow. So he dove into the data with slides. I mean, this is a Shark Tank presentation just to bring in yet another reality show, right? He's like, here, sharks. Let me tell you where we could be saving some money with this. Bring up the next slide.
Exactly.
I'm just asking for 40% in me. Yeah. And I will give you 100% back.
Yes, exactly.
Right? Okay.
And
all right. So went and did a deep dive in the budget and how the budget could be more efficient, I'm guessing, and where monies can be better spent, that sort of presentation?
Yep. He also spoke about, and I think one of the bigger interesting takeaways was when he was talking about working with labor and labor unions, right? So when we thought about Jesse Welsh, he was the superintendent. His superintendent experience was in a very red state, Arizona, right? Where there are labor unions, but it's not as prolific as, say, Michigan, where Ben Schuldiner is from.
Okay.
And he spoke, about what labor relationships can and should look like, when you're a school district. I think he said something to the effect of when the union gives you something, you say thank you.
Oh, wow.
Which, I think sat well.
I bet. Well, because we have two competing big teachers unions, not to mention other unions that have some interplay with the school district itself. So what was your takeaway, Patricia, on his skill set?
So, I was impressed. I thought it was a fresh take. He talked about the political side, which is something that came out of that leadership profile that folks are looking for, and was like, look, I was new to Lansing, Michigan. I'm new here. Maybe I don't have all the relationships, but you all do. So guide me, right? Help me meet the people that need to be met. But I think he was really a standout as far as like, this is someone that could have a fresh perspective and is not as entrenched in the politics, in the good and the bad as the other two candidates.
Hey, CityCast listeners! Your local PBS station, Vegas PBS, is inviting you to join its new club for outdoor enthusiasts, Outdoor Nevada IRL. In case you didn't know, that's short for in real life. At these meetups, you'll explore destinations featured in the hit TV series Outdoor Nevada. You'll enjoy picnics in Nevada's scenic parks, get exclusive access to expert-guided tours, and meet new people who love the outdoors as much as you do. And you'll be supporting public television while having all this fun. That means keeping shows like Masterpiece, Nova, Antiques Roadshow, and all the fun PBS Kids programs around for years to come. If you'd like to learn more about how to join Outdoor Nevada IRL or watch clips and episodes from the show, visit vegaspbs.org/Outdoor Nevada. That's vegaspbs.org/Outdoor Nevada.
Hey, Fidelity. How can I remember to invest every month? With the Fidelity app, you can choose a schedule and set up recurring investments in stocks and ETFs.
Oh, that sounds easier than I thought.
You got this.
Yeah, I do. Now, where did I put my keys?
You will find them where you left them.
Investing involves risk, including risk of loss. Fidelity Brokerage Services, LLC, member NYSE, SIPC.
All right, well, let's get to the last one then. You mentioned the name Joan, spelled Jhone, Ebert.
That is correct. So Joan Ebert was previously featured on the Golden Bachelorette Apple on and off the island on a sister station over in Washoe County School District. So I'll just say in 2022, she had applied to be the Washoe County School District Superintendent. She was one of the 5 finalists, but was not selected. What you need to understand about Joan is that she is the state superintendent. So she oversees the Nevada Department of Education, which is an executive branch agency like the Nevada Department of Agriculture or the Nevada Department of Corrections, right? And they really serve as the compliance monitor and the accountability entity, as well as the federal money pass-through entity for school districts. She is also the only candidate that has not been a superintendent of a school district on this slate.
So she's an administrator who is steeped in all of what we're talking about as her current day job here in Nevada.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
All right. So we've been kind of like having fun calling all of our candidates bachelorettes. So which bachelorette is Joan Ebert?
So Joan Ebert is maybe a political favorite, politically favored, but has had a contentious relationship with CCSD over at least the past couple of years while she's been the state superintendent.
All right, so she's bringing a little drama with her in her briefcase, a little feisty, a little spicy. She's our spicy soup candidate.
Yes. And
okay, so tell me about her presentation and what she brings.
Sure. So she spent a lot of time talking about her personal story and her sort of background, growing up. I spent a significant amount of time on that. And then also really, though, from there, focused her presentation on communication and community partnerships, which was like a very adult-centric tact. I think she had 46 slides, and one of them as a byline mentioned academic achievement of students, which is something that is really prioritized by families and needs to be prioritized by someone that will be the superintendent of the Clark County School District. Something that was also interesting that was discussed, and this was more so during her Q&A. So a little bit of background, Clark County School District went through a reorganization. So that's where you get school organizational teams and a lot of decision-making happening at the school level, as opposed to at the central office saying, this is everything that you need to do, schools, now go implement.
Yeah.
A lot of the controversy that we referred to has been the state's, so in her role as state superintendent, holding the school district accountable around their interpretation and implementation of that law. So are you doing school organizational teams, SOTs, correctly? Or is your budget, site-based budgeting, happening the way that it's supposed to, aligned to the law? When she was asked by one of the trustees, how would you ensure that there's greater autonomy provided to schools to be in line with the spirit of the reorganization of the school district? She had a very interesting answer saying that CCSD has been misinterpreting the law and the implementation, and then went on to say that maybe it's no longer necessary. She said, maybe we need to make a shift and that it's no longer necessary at this moment in time to have that type of organization in place, which is scandalous.
Okay, she's bringing chili pepper to this particular stew of contestants. She's saying, hey, I just want to point out, that sounds very public comment. What you're doing is incorrect. The way that you're interpreting this law is incorrect. And here's how this probably needs to be reorganized. Like, that's really coming in hot.
Yes, I agree. And I don't know who else has really picked up on it, but to me, that was like, I had to pick my jaw up off the floor when that discussion was happening because I just couldn't, it's such a big deal.
Now, Patricia, in one of your former lives,
Yeah.
you worked for the Clark County School District in their government affairs, but you're no longer employed by the Clark County School District.
correct.
And you don't have any financial interest in the outcome here. So I just want to make sure that that's really clear
Yep.
as we get into your money bets, because I'm curious about your perspective. If you did have money on this particular television show, what candidate would you put the bank on into getting the gig?
So,
Because we're down to 3.
so I'm a wishful better. I think it would be really interesting to see Ben Schuldiner and to learn a little bit more about him and to see sort of like where he could take things.
The outsider.
But if I was a betting person, looking at the support that Joan Ebert has garnered from the current governor, previous governor, some other elected officials and some other people, that you can't ignore that. And you can't ignore the weight that has behind it. That said...
Well, wait, before that
sorry.
said, so what you're saying is the Nevada way is always going to be a part of the equation. And by
Yes.
that, meaning insider stuff, juice,
Yep.
old relationships, that sort of thing.
Yep.
Okay.
Absolutely.
All right. That said,
That
dot.
said, the school board of trustees is utterly unpredictable. And so, like, if you look to 2018 when Dr. Jara was hired, it was like just a jockeying of public meeting protocol to kick some other people out. And it just kind of happened that Dr. Jara ended up benefiting from that and becoming the superintendent pick.
Last man standing.
It was
syndrome.
shocking, right? It was
Mhm.
shocking just as these are, well, I don't want to say it was shocking as much as it was just as much a surprise to him, I think, as anybody else, that he was the one that ended up getting, and I think it was a split vote also, but he ended up getting the majority and getting pushed through. I think it'll be really telling if there is a unanimous vote from this group on who they want to bring forward. And I think that will really speak to the success, at least in the front end on the honeymoon period, for the next person that's selected.
So you're just making a fun wager in your own mind that you're not going to share. You're not putting actual cash on because you think it's still too unpredictable. Is that my
Yeah, I think
hearing
that's
here?
right. I think that's right. I'm going to get a little bit closer to game time.
So if regular citizens, I mean, people who are parents who have kids in the school district or people who just have an interest in it. I mean, I don't have any kids, but I am a product of the Clark County School District, and I'm always interested in how that impacts my community. How can we participate in this process from this point forward?
Yeah. So on March 10th, so there's not much going on in the next couple of weeks, like externally with the community, or in the next couple of days externally with the community. But on March 10th, in the evening at Rancho High School, there will be a community forum where members of the community can show up. I think the way that they're planning it is they're going to put people in 3 different rooms with the 3 different candidates, and then you can Q&A. Members of the community can Q&A with those candidates and then provide feedback via an online form that will go to the trustees. So that, and then obviously in addition to that, on March 11th, they will be having another special board meeting to deliberate, have some finalist interviews, follow-up interviews from there where you can public comment. And then on the 13th of March, they're planning to make their final decision where members of the public can also public comment then. Also, call your trustee and let them know what your opinion is, because this is a lot for them. This is the time, if you ever think about getting involved, like this is the time to share your opinion. Because again, this is a really important decision. And I think that the sense that I get is that the trustees are interested in hearing what everyone else has to say, because I think they do want to make the right decision.
And we'll link those public sessions in our show notes if anyone is interested in finding out where that is all going on. Patricia, thank you so much for joining us on CityCast Las Vegas. Always enjoy your perspective and insights.
Thank you so much for having me. And I loved talking reality TV with you, David. So thanks.
that is all for today here on CityCast Las Vegas. If you enjoyed the show, please go tell a friend. You can also rate our show. That just takes you like a few seconds. If you see one of those best of things out there, hint, hint, Las Vegas Weekly, you can also place a vote for us there. You could leave us a review too and subscribe to our morning newsletter. We'll be back tomorrow morning with more news from around the city. Till then, stay lucky. Oh, we got to come up with a name for this. Yeah. Who wants to be constantly yelled at?
Yes.
The Golden Superette?
The Golden
I don't like that.
Apple Bachelorette. I don't know. I don't know that works either.
Yeah. I don't know. King of the Kids.
King of the Kids.
All right. Whatever our reality show that's unfolding here.